little story I got to tell about three bad brothers you know so well.
If you ain't first, you're last. And a name on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the one on the back.
Line shot, and it is caught, and the ball game is over, and the Los Angeles Dodgers have won the pennant. The Dodgers are headed to the World Series for the first time in 29 years.
We're back. It's the Greenberg hat trick minus Seth for the second week in a row. The Mike and Josh show for this episode 9.
What's up?
And the Dodgers, like we said they would, are going to the World Series.
Finally. Like, what do you say, 26 years?
29.
29. Woo. Long time. Long time coming. This is like something 5 years in the making or something?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I want to take credit for the Dodgers upping their game because in our different shows and podcasts, I called them out when they were losing all those games. And I said they needed to take charge in their season and not let it slip away. And they are 7-1 in the postseason. And that's how you should do it. And we wait and see who their opponent will be.
Yeah, between the Yankees and...
Yankees-Astros will be
Yep.
Game 6 tonight. It is Friday, October 20th, just to give you guys some perspective on when we are recording. Obviously, the Dodgers just won last night. It has to be said that this isn't a surprise given the Dodgers roster. And what I mean is they have the highest salary cap.
Yeah, that's
baseball.
That's what I meant. But when I was saying like this is like 5 years in the making, I'm not sure if it started with like Magic Johnson sort of taking some sort of role, but they've built a team and they've gone out, they've gotten players, they straightened their pitching by getting Darvish also like right before like the deadlines and stuff like that, and they had a record-breaking year almost that kind of slipped down during that little slump in April or whenever that was, but they've turned it around in the playoffs and they dominated the Cubs. They won in 5 games. They won their last game in Chicago 11-1. That's a statement of a game to win on the road. And I think they'll be ready for whoever they're going to have to play against.
Yeah, so to close out our Talking Baseball segment, the Dodgers have a payroll of $265 million. Let that sink in.
Yeah.
In second is the Yankees with $224 million. So if everything goes according to plan, given that the Yankees are up 3-2, even though the Astros have the home
next 2 home games,
field, you'll have the two teams with the highest payroll in baseball. And I don't want to be a hater at this point because it's go Dodgers, but it's frustrating in a sport when the top 2 teams who spend all the way and they're going to the World Series.
But it always hasn't been that way. So once in a while, if this is how it has to be, then it's not the worst thing in the world. And for us obviously I'm an Angels fan, but I've got nothing really against the Dodgers because it's a different conference. So it's not it's not conference league. Yeah, it's a different league. So
before we just lose you with all the baseball talk, just one last point: the Astros are below the league average by $3 million. They have a $149 million payroll. Which is crazy. Now getting back into baseball more with the Dodgers in the World Series, how large the payroll is for these MLB teams. But moving on to the other sport that we will talk briefly about, it is the NBA. It has tipped off. Lakers and Clippers last night. The Clippers won by 16.
yeah, Lakers
are still not there.
It'll take some time. Ball's got to get used to the league.
But like I've also been saying, LeBron James in 2018 will be a Los Angeles Laker. And everything will be fine then. And other than the Hayward injury,
Yeah, I want to talk
Celtics,
about that for a second because I have a little funny story about that.
Okay, go with your funny story.
Okay, so I was like chilling in my apartment and just got out of the shower and I got like a text or a notification on Facebook where it's like, Pablo Vinacour has tagged you and Ben in some sort of post. I'm like, okay, this should be kind of funny. Pablo usually tags me in some sort of sports related, I don't know, soccer maybe sometimes, something. And it's all in Spanish. And it just says like, I don't know, some sort of Spanish words, and it's like the Celtics game. So I click the link, and they throw up the ball for the alley-oop, and
well, everyone's seen the play.
But okay, fine, but like it buffers, and like I didn't know what the play was about. I thought he was showing me a dunk. I don't know what he was showing me. I didn't know anything. He shows me, it starts buffering. I'm like, all right, I keep doing it. So I get rid of the Wi-Fi and just turn on the 3G or whatever to get it loading faster, and then he misses the dunk. I'm like, okay, where's this going? And the next thing I hear is the announcer being like, his leg is broken. His leg is broken. Oh my God, his leg is broken. I'm like, you mother effer, Pablo. Because then they cut to the clip and his leg's just, oh my God.
Yep, the leg's going the other way. There was a good highlight of it where you just showed the Cleveland bench.
Oh, I didn't see that.
And they just all just
I didn't see that.
go away.
I stopped.
Because they just, the sight of it, I don't recommend seeing this video. And it is confirmed that Hayward is missing the entire NBA season. So the Celtics season is in the balance.
Whew, yeah.
But that will be all the NBA talk for this week. We need Seth back to go more in depth.
We definitely would need Seth for that.
And to finish off, going back to MLB, because we should give some predictions, the Dodgers are winning the World Series. It doesn't matter if it's the Astros or the Yankees. The Dodgers,
they got the home advantage, right? No matter what?
The Dodgers will have home field advantage, and they will be rested.
Definitely, they'll be rested.
They have the better pitching staff, and it's destiny this year, especially, not to belabor the point, with the highest payroll in baseball.
Go Doyers.
Has to be said. Okay, moving on. NHL is now pretty much well underway, so we can really look into the standings. And we are going to mention the surprising teams and the disappointing teams. I think there's one obvious contender.
The biggest surprise.
Surprise team, and Michael will give his guess.
I'd say Vegas. I really would say Vegas. That the fact that they've got 10 points in 6 games when everyone didn't give them a chance, either Vegas or even New Jersey. The Kings are still up there because they haven't lost a game in regulation. But the fact that Vegas and Devils were supposed to be like the two underdogs or the worst teams all year, that they're almost basically leading their divisions, those are the biggest surprise, I think.
Sure, if you want to split it, but the big surprise is the New Jersey Devils.
Yeah,
because they were awful last year. They won the lottery, but you get that first overall pick, and that definitely helps. Nico Hischier got 2 goals last night. Finally,
that's good.
He was my Calder pick, and it's good to see him going. He's also on my fantasy teams. But 6-1 to start the year. They beat Ottawa, which is a huge win. Ottawa was one of those teams with no losses, and now they have 2 straight. And with Vegas, they're also a surprise, but this isn't your normal expansion team.
Yeah, for sure.
They've built a team that could get the points and not finish dead last. Like everyone wanted to assume, because they're an expansion team, with all the history of expansion teams, they're going to have a terrible year. But these players have extra motivation because they weren't protected or were dealt in some cases to the Vegas Golden Knights. And that means that they have points to prove. And they're not there to tank the season. They're there to win games.
They have enough experience. They have freaking Marc-Andre Fleury.
Well, he's out now with a concussion. He missed the last 2 games. They have Malcolm Subban in net.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't expect him to get those 2 wins, and he does.
Yeah, good for him.
Which is crazy.
Is that PK's brother or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty.
I was assuming. I wasn't like.
Think about it.
Okay, I know.
McPhee's probably not happy because in reality they need to tank and get the picks early so they can start their rebuild process, if you want to word it like that. But if they keep it up and start piling these wins in, they might be thinking playoffs, which is strange to say, and it's only October. But 5-1 start, like maybe you have to start thinking playoffs.
Yeah, maybe. Like I would like to see them succeed. Like it's always nice to see the underdog story.
I will not want them to succeed because they're in a specific division, and I don't really care that they're a new team.
Well, relatively succeed. They can succeed behind the team that you root for, whichever that would be.
The next game for the Devils will be the Sharks. I will predict a loss.
Sharks haven't had that good year either.
And
so
the
far.
next game for the Vegas Golden Knights will be the St. Louis Blues, and that should be a loss.
Yeah, St. Louis has started off well this year, too.
Then again, my predictions this year are pretty much below 40%, which is off to a terrible start.
It's been a brutal year this year as far as like...
we'll share the Excel at the end of the month to show you how we've been doing. And if we get more interest, we can do more daily picks on the NHL because we were good last year. We were in the high 50%.
Yeah.
Which, like we've been saying, and we'll repeat, that's pretty much where you want to aim, especially if you're predicting all the games. No successful predictor or better, or you ever want to define it, is not going to be in the high 60s and 70% or even close to 100%. It's especially in NHL, which again we're showing this year. You can't call games so easily.
No,
and it's showing. The biggest disappointment.
Not
including the Arizona Coyotes.
Not including them. I still I mentioned this on our other sports show that we did yesterday. I mentioned Edmonton. They did win last night, but I still think it's Edmonton. 2 wins in 6 games from the team who's supposed to win the cup, possibly. Not the best start. Obviously, we can throw in Montreal as another team. That's
Montreal's the correct answer.
Yeah.
because they just can't score.
And they got the Ducks next. And
It's
that's another disappointing team so far. I think even though the
the
injuries.
Ducks are not disappointing
Because of the injuries, but-
Because of the injuries, and this is what I warned. And we can get
Yeah.
back to our predictions because I'll get to the Kings talk. But I said the Ducks need to hold the ship for all these injuries. And in my looking into the Ducks, I guess I didn't realize Getzlaf would be out for these few first games,
Yeah.
and that's been huge.
They're just not scoring. Like,
Well, that's
they're
part
the
of it.
second lowest scoring team in the NHL right now.
But you can say Gibson's been hurt, and no Kessler's huge,
Kessler's the biggest loss, in
and
my
Getzlaf
opinion.
not being 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a game tonight. It's Ducks. It's Montreal. Like,
Yeah.
if you gave me $100 to bet on this game, I wouldn't bet on it and just to pocket the 100 because
Yeah.
I don't know who to pick.
I have no idea.
I don't know who to pick, especially because the Ducks are so depleted. There's no home ice problem here for Montreal because Montreal fans will travel well. Ducks fans don't know how to pack their own building.
No, it's been bad. I've watched a few games. It's pretty embarrassing the how empty it is sometimes.
So if you want any lean, I would go with Montreal, especially they'll have the better goaltender in it. I don't know if Gibson's well enough to play tonight, although I think he played the last game.
He did.
Ducks haven't played since
they've had a big rest. They've had a long rest.
Monday or Sunday.
Yeah.
But that's a battle of the two disappointing teams. The Rangers lost to the Islanders last night in a shootout. Lundqvist played better, but
I don't know why I traded for him with Seth, but whatever. Well,
'Cause you got
hopefully
two
he'll turn
other
it around. I know.
forwards.
Hopefully he'll turn it around.
they're not going to continue to lose. But at the same time, are they going to get to a playoff pace?
Yeah, I said they wouldn't. That's why I'm even like I'm not. I really thought the Rangers would have a disappointing year this year, which just makes me wonder why I traded for Lundqvist. But that's a different story.
Another highlight from last night was Connor McDavid's assist.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
You need like
I need to see it in like
here we
real
go.
time.
Here we go again. But that's a play of the year
Yeah, I need to see that
in
again.
all sports because try that.
Yeah,
I want any other NHLer to try that, and then I want any novice to try that and see how difficult it is against Duncan Keith and Brent Seabrook.
Yeah, I only saw like the GIF version of it or GIF or whatever how you're supposed to pronounce it. Like
That's fine. That's all you need.
But yeah, I want the sound. I want the impact of the crowd. I want to hear everything behind it too. But like it was filthy.
Kind of like Pasternak's end-to-end goal last night, but this he skated backwards and he was just gliding, just like better than some people skate forwards.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
He is just fun to watch, and he needs to be on more NBCSN games.
Yeah,
We covered the Ducks, I believe, unless Mike has
we did. No, we did.
anything
We
else to add.
covered them.
We can mention Seth's Colorado is playing 500, which is good for them.
Yeah, much better than expected.
If they can get towards that 80-point season, 84, 85 points, that'll be successful for them, especially in a difficult Central. And we will close it, I guess, with some Kings talk because that's what you all been waiting for. No, but seriously, the Kings are the best team in hockey. I don't care about what anyone else says because they don't get the credit. What else is new? They've played less games than like New Jersey and Tampa and Toronto, but they haven't lost in regulation. They gifted Calgary, like we spoke last week, that point. It was
Right.
2 points. Jonathan Quick's the best goal in the NHL. The stats prove it. No one's hating on him, and you can use all your advanced stats all you want. 1.59 goals against, 95 save percentage. Shut up, haters. I'm sick of all the Kings hate. And maybe they just don't watch the Kings or don't do the homework. But like you can look at all the power rankings and where they rank the Kings, not even in the top 5.
So my question for you is then about the Kings is what's the difference this year besides obviously Quick being healthy and playing well? What's the difference? Because I'm looking at the individual stats and Kopitar's got 8 points, which is a lot better than last year for sure. So is he stepping
a lot
up?
better?
Yeah,
That is amazing.
yeah. So is he stepping up? Is he the one making the difference, or is it more
I
of the
mean,
team?
you've hit 2 of the points.
Yeah.
It's the top line acting like a top line.
Okay,
Dustin Brown has 4 goals. I mean,
that's huge.
Vegas could have taken him. Everyone was writing him off his season. His career
4
was
goals
done.
for Dustin Brown already. That's
Yeah.
huge.
Net front presence, driving to the net, getting those tip-ins. He's earning that contract this year. You can't say anything negative about his play. Jonathan Quick, again, it will not be repeated enough on this show. He is the best goalie in the NHL, period. I don't care what advanced stats you can show me to disprove that. He's the most athletic, doesn't give up on a play, and makes the saves that you cannot believe. And the stats definitely back it up again with that 95% save percentage.
Well, they definitely have some big, huge tests coming. I know I said big and huge.
We're
but
getting to that.
They've got some huge tests coming
to
up.
answer the question fully, Daryl Sutter, and again, we can go back to USM national team talk, which we'll do after hockey.
We'll get there eventually.
Daryl Sutter stayed 1 year too long.
Yeah.
And it will look back in Kings history, especially if this season continues to be successful, in this 3-year period from when they won the Cup till this season, as just the lost years, whether it was Voinov, whether it was gambling on Lucic, whether it was rehiring Sutter. And we lost 3 years of our top players in their prime, but the Kings didn't perform like defending Stanley Cup champions used to do. And it showed. They didn't make the playoffs. Everyone didn't have the Kings in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry to turn this back to my team for a second, but I just looked this up because I was looking at the Kings stats and I was looking at the Ducks stats now to compare them. The Ducks have not scored a power play goal yet.
That will hurt. The Kings were like
It doesn't
that.
surprise me.
The Kings were like that as well, but then they got Martinez back and they switched to 2 defense, 3 forward, and then the power play goals have come. I think they've gotten 4 in their past 2 games.
Yeah, the Kings are first in penalty kill, which is a huge
The penalty kill's been
success.
solid.
Yeah,
penalty kill's been solid.
That will definitely help your team succeed.
The answer to the question is John Stevens is the head coach again. Yeah, well, he was before they hired Sutter. And there's a Doughty quote. I'm not going to quote it word for word, but he said it's fun now to come to the rink again, which is another dig at Sutter, meaning last year they weren't having fun coming to the rink. It was more of work than fun, and that affected the team, I guess. And
it sounds, to compare it to another sport, it sounds like what Bayern Munich went through with Ancelotti. How they were saying,
no, it's different because Sutter has history.
All right.
It's the same concept, but there's a length of time that Sutter has been with the team. Ancelotti's with Bayern Munich for what, a year and a half?
Yeah, no, you're right. From that moment, yeah, but like they were saying the same thing. Once he left, it was more fun.
And I got caught up in it too because I wanted Sutter to get the most wins for a Kings coach.
Yeah,
But if you look back on it, he shouldn't have been rehired.
yeah.
And again, this isn't Kings history talk on this podcast, but there's many things you can look back in the past 3 years that we wasted that Lombardi blew, and he had to go as well. Now the tests that you were mentioning are happening. The Kings go on the road.
Whew.
The Kings play Columbus, and it'll be the 2 best goalies in the NHL going head-to-head.
Yep.
Bobrovsky, the reigning Vezina Trophy winner, and Jonathan Quick.
And then if they get through Columbus, then the next game's the big test against Toronto, I think. That's the hottest team right now.
Toronto, Ottawa, back-to-back. Toronto plays Ottawa on Saturday. You have to look at how other results go before you play them as well.
Yeah.
But the Kings are only looking at Columbus, and they need to make a statement because you can say arguably these 6 teams that they've played so far, minus Calgary, aren't really true tests. Montreal was a disappointment, but it was a back-to-back, and they weren't playing Price. Montoya played on his head, but still they buried him in the 3rd period. But Columbus is the true test. The big lead, which we've been not mentioning, is Jeff Carter is probably out 6 to 8 weeks with a cut to his leg, not his Achilles. I was watching it with my dad in the morning yesterday, and it was an innocent-looking play, and we thought that it was a skate issue, especially the way the announcers were mentioning it, but it was a cut. Jeff Petrie came over, lined him up, and his skate got off the ice, clipped him by the leg, and he took surgery yesterday, Carter, and it'll be 6 to 8 weeks. That is huge.
Yeah, that's not good.
That, it'll ruin the progress report because now the Kings are a different team losing their second center.
Yeah.
And Brooks Laich was signed, which is decent. And he's not a Jeff Carter. Kempe got the hat trick, so maybe he goes to the second line, although I think it'll be Shore, who hasn't played too bad. I think he's played above average. We'll give him like a B rating so far. And the Kings will be shorthanded, like you said, but it'll be a true test. If I'm going to predict it, you favor Columbus coming off a loss, especially to Tampa yesterday. They had like 43 shots on goal, couldn't get by Vasilevsky. Kings' first real road game because they went to San Jose. That's not that far.
Right.
But they could get it done. Like I said, with the Kings, they need to get that first goal, play with that lead, and once the Kings play with the lead, they're unbeatable. They've proven to come back a few times when giving up the first goal, especially with quick responses like they did in the Montreal game. But it'll be a fun game to watch. I'll definitely be up. It'll be the 2 best goalies in the league going head-to-head.
Yeah. Anything else to cover with hockey? We can talk about the individual leaders right now as far as stats and.
Nah, it's hot starts and Ovechkin's kind of cooled off. There's no reason to go into.
Ovechkin's cooled off, but Austin Matthews leading in plus minus right now. That's interesting.
Well, yeah, with Toronto averaging like 6 goals a game, you're going to get the plus minuses there. Yep, you have to give your props to Toronto. Definitely your props to Tampa Bay. They went all in on Vasilevsky in goal. He got the shutout last night. Tampa Bay looking like they're the front runners for the Atlantic with the Maple Leafs. Ottawa's a good start, but like I said, the last 2 games they've lost. They still have one regulation loss. The loss yesterday was a overtime or shootout loss, so that still helps them in the record. But nope, it's good. It's exciting to watch. Again, the McDavid play, go rewatch it because
definitely
it's the play of the year so far in all sports, not just the NHL. Moving on from hockey to soccer. Brief U.S. soccer report. The under-17s will be playing England tomorrow in the quarterfinal in India. These 2 teams are the only teams in the U17 and U20 level to make it to the quarterfinals of the World Cup. which is good to know, good to see. England, I'm always partial to because watching the Premier League, you're used to those players. But it's obviously 100% USA all the way on Saturday. This is a must-win, obviously. But for the future of our program and getting these games in, the U.S. needs to win.
Yeah,
and I don't care about England's history and their academies and the clubs that they belong to. The U.S. needs to take care of business and get to a semifinal against Germany or Brazil, which will be tough. But this will help the progress of our future players. The other news is the U.S. will be playing Portugal in their only friendly in November. This is a mistake.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
This doesn't help anything. We're not going to the World Cup. We don't need to be challenging against the top 10 teams in the world. It's an away game, so there's really no benefit.
It makes no sense. Like
soccer.
it really, like it seems like.
Granted, Portugal might rest some of their players because it's meaningless to them as well, and they got their club season as well. It's a lose-lose because if we beat Portugal, it just makes everything worse that this past month has been going on.
I still think we're at the part right now where nothing that happens in the next month or so really means nothing, positive or negative. It doesn't matter what results happen in our next game. It really, like, we're in a complete.
Well, it all comes down to the under 17s.
Transition process. It helps a little bit, but still, like the under 17s will help the future. But whatever the senior squad does in this next friendly or even the one after that, whenever the next ones come, it really don't mean much.
Well, the next one
yet.
probably won't be till late January, and that'll probably be an only MLS-based team. Which forget it, you don't even want us to go into the MLS talk. There needs to be less teams there.
I know ever since the defeat to Trinidad happened, everyone came out with their different like quotes and statements and saying like the players were saying we failed, and everyone was saying all this stuff, and Taylor Twellman had his little rant. But I really liked what Claudio Reyna said because like everyone else had their like it's pretty easy to say the right things right now. But everyone's been summing up. I like what he said. He basically said we're far too arrogant, we're far too obnoxious, we are egotistical, having never won anything or done anything, which is basically sums it up perfectly. We haven't done anything ever. Like we've had a good game every now and then. We've had an exciting moment in the World Cup, whether it's the Donovan goal or the Brooks goal or even Jermaine Jones's goal, but like we haven't accomplished shit. Like nothing. And we think that we are better than everyone else even though we haven't reached any levels yet. So hopefully the U17 team can beat England. All these players can grow and all their potential reaches, and we can get better.
If he's talking about the last 3 years, I 100% agree. They did make the Confederations Cup final. They did beat Spain when Spain was number 1 in the world. Let's not forget that. They gave Brazil the best half Brazil's ever faced. They choked in the second half, but I think they ran out of gas. So this idea that we haven't accomplished anything is a little too harsh.
It's a little too harsh, but
because everything now is being blown out of proportion. And I pretty much agree with Reyna with most of the message that he delivered. But we're not going to rehash this because we'll go into the Premier League games. But it just all comes down to, forget the other parts of U.S. soccer and the development. We lost to Trinidad. It just boil it down to that. All the BS with the coaches leaving and the bad results not going our way. All the team had to do was not lose to Trinidad. Maybe that was a Band-Aid. But that's the bigger problem, is that they couldn't get the job done against an inferior opponent. And it's okay to call them an inferior opponent because most other teams will call them an inferior opponent because they were the 6th team in the Hex.
Yeah.
Granted, by the results, we don't have a cough button here, which we really need in the studio.
Sure.
By the results, they treated them like they had no chance of winning. Yeah. And that's what Trinidad did. And we're going to, it's no need to rehash it.
Let's move on.
Looking for a coach.
Do you want to mention Champions League and Europa League at all?
No.
Okay.
It's only at the halfway point. We'll keep this maybe a shorter podcast. Maybe we can get more listeners to hang around with us and listen. We'll preview some of the Premier League games.
First of all, standings, City's now on top since United.
I forget. You don't need to mention the standings. When we get to like 11, 12, then we can get there. It's a 2-point gap. Again, City hasn't played United. The season really hasn't begun until City and United play, because then we'll know what the two teams have against each other. I want to check
City's schedule right now. Who have they actually had a good test against so far?
You check the schedule, and I will
preview
Everton, West Ham, Brighton tonight. It's a Friday night kickoff. West Ham and Brighton. Yeah. West Ham is home. West Ham needs the result. Brighton has promoted. Tomer Clement's not back yet. This is his last game of suspension. West Ham will win 2-1, and they will save Village for now.
I think Brighton might be the worst team in the Premier League. Like, I think they might be. They really might be.
I could argue that Everton is. Everton might have better players, but the way they've been playing, they don't have a signature moment this year. Maybe the 1-1 tie against City.
Brighton has absolutely nothing. They without Hamed, they were absolutely nothing. And with Hamed, how good could they possibly be? Like
they're allowed to have a one off game.
I don't know.
They've done so far so good for a promoted team.
They have to not let up at any point. They need to get as many points as they can because they're gonna need them.
That's definitely true.
Anytime they can get a tie,
different than being the worst team.
I still think they're not very. I don't know.
Okay, the Saturday games. We'll look at 3. Chelsea Watford. This is a trap game.
I don't think so at all.
This is a trap game.
Trap for who?
Chelsea.
Why?
Is playing awful. No, the days of the teams flipping a switch and assuming that are gone. You can't assume that Chelsea's just going to come into this game and win 4-0. Richarlison, I'm butchering that name, the Brazilian on Watford said, I live in Brazil and I was walking down the street and a guy came up to me with a gun and robbed me. And that's more scarier than Chelsea. That was his quote. That might be a stretch, but that shows me balls, and he's not afraid of any opponent.
I said this.
And if you have players playing like that, you have a tough game ahead of you. I have Chelsea winning 2-0 because Chelsea's home. They need the result. But Watford's going to give them a game. I don't expect Chelsea to score very quickly. I expect this maybe 0-0 at halftime. Chelsea's obviously the better team like we've been hinting at. And I think they wear them down and they get the results later, especially because they're home. And yeah, that's where I'm standing.
I said this from the beginning of the year. After I saw Watford's performance against Liverpool in the first game when they tied 3-3, until they get their slump, I think they're a very strong team. Right now they're in 4th place, if I'm not mistaken. They have character. They have a lot of heart. Until they're out of any sort of big race, they're going to be there. I think they're going to be fighting. But that being said, I still think Chelsea at home, especially since I think they lost their previous home game. Morata's back. Hazard, I think, is finding his form.
I'm not mistaken, that previous last home game was against City.
Yeah, so they're going to win. It might not be...
It's going to be tough.
It might not be as dominating as you would expect, but I think, especially tying their Champions League game, I think they will bounce back and they will get a win. Might not be pretty, but they'll get the 3 points.
Moving on to City Burnley, we don't have to spend too much time here. There's just a gap in talent.
Exactly. The question is not will they win; it's how much will they win by.
It should be a 4-0 City win.
You say that, but they've won by 5 or more 3 times already.
Again, I don't expect it to be a quick start, especially after playing midweek in Champions League. But they'll wear them down, and they'll be that stretch of 15, 20 minutes. We'll get 2-3 goals, and that'll be the difference.
Yeah, it depends how many goals they get early on in the game. Because a lot of these big games where it's when they got 7-2 and Man U when they've won 4-0 all those times, most of the majority of the goals are in the 80th minute plus when the game's basically over already. So we'll see how many goals they get early on if it happens at all.
The last Saturday game worth mentioning, at least on our podcast, will be Huddersfield versus Manchester United. This needs to be a statement game from United. They have scored 1 goal in their last 2 competitive games. The 0-0 tie against Liverpool was a little bit frustrating. It was traditional Mourinho, which I kind of forgot. But
yeah, you should have saw that coming.
At the same time, though, he built the team for a Liverpool mistake. And the Liverpool mistake didn't happen, and Klopp didn't fall into it. Now, Lukaku had that one chance.
Exactly, I was about to say that.
And it's tough to put that whole game on one chance. At the same time, you were bought for millions of dollars. You were paid millions of dollars. It's on your favored foot, that close to goal. It needs to go in. We won't hold it against Lukaku that much, but it needs to go in. De Gea with a kick save late in that game to save the point for United.
De Gea is insane.
And this will be United returning to old form this season. This will be like a 3-0, 4-0 against, again, an inferior opponent.
Yeah, pray for Huddersfield. It's going to be ugly.
We move to Sunday, the doubleheader, the rivalry games reversed.
Yeah.
We'll preview this tomorrow on our radio show, which we'll give a little plug on 106.2 FM. And also on internet radio you can listen to at 7 a.m. in Los Angeles, or 5 p.m. here in Israel. It will be Everton and Arsenal. It will be Tottenham versus Liverpool. Arsenal, huge win last night.
Yeah, that was almost as frustrating as the Man U Champions League game. Nothing happened. It was 80 minutes. It wasn't that good of a game. We played our B squad. There were some like big players in there, like Czech started because I guess Ospina's injured or they're not trusting him because of his poor performance for Colombia. But yeah, we got, in my opinion, one of the best goals you'll see all year. It was unbelievable. It was typical Arsenal one-touch, beautiful play, and started with Jack Wilshere getting through 3 defenders, setting it up with Giroud and Walcott, and Giroud does what he does. Like,
it was a beauty Arsenal goal.
The types of goals Giroud scores, it's only stuff that he can do. Like,
I was honored with his presence to watch it live. I'm so happy I switched away from Beersheva.
I can't believe he, like, when it went in, like, everyone was like, is this actually a goal? Because this was like too good. Please don't call it offsides. And then like
it wasn't offsides. And that'll be our only Israeli soccer reference on this episode.
Yeah, because they suck.
That was
embarrassing.
Everton is in such a tailspin.
And they lost. Everton lost in Europa League also.
Last place in their group in Europa League. Their chances are very thin of advancing. It's a must-win for Everton on Sunday. Having said that, and I will hint at this tomorrow on the radio show, I expect a draw between Everton and Arsenal.
I still think, given
the caveat is Sanchez is rested,
exactly,
and he could keys the game breaker.
I was about to say, just because literally everyone who played in the starting 11, except for Czech, in the Europa League, won't be playing. Like the whole team will be different.
By the way, Crystal Palace is worse.
Crystal Palace
than Brighton.
They're turning around.
Than Brighton.
Crystal Palace just beat Chelsea.
Yeah,
so
one shock performance.
I don't know. Zaha's
2
back.
goals in 8 games, 18 goals against.
Okay, but that's the past. Now they're turning it around. All right, I want to check.
Not to give a Crystal Palace preview, but Newcastle beats them 2-0. Last game of Premier League before we're about to wrap up this pretty quick edition of the Greenberg Hat-Trick. It'll be Tottenham hosting Liverpool at Wembley. Who knows?
Exactly.
Who knows with this game? Because Tottenham just cannot show up at home at Wembley because they have not made that their home, and I don't understand it.
Expect goals, I think. That's all I really can say.
2-2 is my prediction. We go for the double tie on Sunday. Put them in your millionaire. Hopefully they're high up on the list because that game is ridiculously stupid. There you go. That's your Premier League preview.
Well, actually, the Arsenal-Everton might not be on the millionaire because it's an early game.
It's 3:30, no?
Yeah, so actually,
if it's 3:30, it should be there for all our listeners in Israel to put that on your millionaire. But then again, Arsenal could get to him with Sanchez.
I think Arsenal will win.
That's the caveat.
I think Arsenal will win. I still think Liverpool will win too because they score goals. They find ways to score goals. They've got too much speed up front, and Coutinho can win any game on his own.
This weekend, what to watch for? I'll have a few games. It will be obviously the U.S. national team under 17. Well, national team against England in India this Saturday afternoon/evening, 5:30 Israeli time, 7:30 Los Angeles time. All other time zones for our other dozens of listeners you can figure out yourselves. This is a huge game for the future of U.S. soccer. Period.
Yes.
Period. End of story. Because, like I said, maybe forget Copa America. Although I'm really starting to get into that, even though we're a year and a half away from that. The Olympics is our tournament to win. We need to finally win an international tournament. I don't care if it's mostly an under-23 tournament. We will have arguably the top 5 best player, one of the top 5 best players in that tournament in Pulisic.
Yeah.
And we will surround him by that time with other top under-23 performers like Timothy Way. And you should see his hat-trick against Paraguay.
His second goal was the first goal, second goal.
Second goal. The first goal is a beautiful build-up, and that's a tap-in. Good finish.
The way he shoots it and
saw
whips
it live. I was following it. Got Michael fully on board on this because he was like, What game are you talking about, Josh? I'm like, the under-17s.
Yeah, I forgot about it.
Duh. Other game to watch. Man U Huddersfield. I won't put that as a top game to watch. It'll be on at the same time as well.
We got
you can flip in back and forth. Look for 2 games in hockey on Saturday to watch. Ottawa versus Toronto, the Battle of Ontario.
Hockey night in Canada.
And the battle of the best 2 goalies in the NHL. Los Angeles, Columbus from Nationwide Arena. Other games, we have the Sunday doubleheader like we mentioned. NFL,
yeah,
nada.
The Super Bowl.
Nada. Both teams are not that good. It is less hype than it should be. The Patriots, minus 3.5 on the odds.
Did Golden State lose their first game?
They did lose to Houston.
What the hell?
Well, I mean, I don't blame you. There's no reason to pay attention.
I had no idea.
Little
that's not good.
NFL preview because there's really not many other games to touch, and I haven't done my homework yet to give any official picks out. The Patriots have been circling this date since they won the Super Bowl. I don't want to hear about the Falcons because they're going to bounce back after they lost to the Dolphins. I'm sick of the rule in football. You have a bad game one week, you have a better game the next
That's
week.
the Jaguars.
Against the Patriots at Foxborough, you take the points. There's no revenge here. The Patriots need to rewrite this season on a good note, and this is the way to do it. Patriots, my official pick, probably in my top 3 best bets for this weekend.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. Yeah, there's really not much games to look forward to in the NFL. Like, you'd think the Saints-Packers would be good, but since Rodgers' injury, that's nothing.
Forget it.
This-
Cowboys-Niners, not even worth a preview.
Yeah, not
Cowboys
worth
should
it.
take
But
care of
I was going to
business.
say, this could be a week where you, me, yours, mine, and Seth's team all win in football again. Like, we're all the favorites. We really should all take care of business. And, yeah.
We shall see. I will have an official pick on that on Sunday. That's a good to know because the last time you said that all 3 of the teams lost. Let's not forget that. But that's pretty much it, I think. We'll keep this a shorter version. How long are we into the episode?
35.
Very good. That's a good solid time. But you also got the ALCS to watch tonight and tomorrow. Hopefully it's the Game 7, so they can be more tired for the Dodgers. The Dodgers, to start to bring this on home from where we were at the beginning. The Dodgers are in the World Series. Los Angeles is excited. And we're about to see the Dodgers win their first World Series since 1988. And you can put that down. I will be that arrogant with this team. Like I said, the biggest payroll in Major League Baseball finally is going to win a World Series. And we're excited. I changed my profile pic. I'll keep that as a secret for you guys to investigate what I changed it to because it's a good one. Other than that, we wish you a Shabbat Shalom. Tell your friends again, all 12 of you that are listening to this podcast. I think we're doing good so far in this experiment. Maybe we need to do better on promoting it to get more viewers. But the one thing that we do hope and say each and every week, give us the feedback and suggestions to make this better. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get better at this. This was an experiment at the beginning. So far, we're liking this. We need Seth back for more of the drama.
We do need Seth back.
We've lost some of the drama these past few episodes because we've had enough drama with U.S. soccer. But that's it. We won't blabber anymore. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the sports. We have definitely a sports-filled weekend. All 4. One last thing. Another dig at U.S. soccer. And don't read the comments there because it's just a troll storm. ESPN tweeted, it's only the 17th time that all 4 major sports played on the same day. And it was MLB, NFL, NBA, NHL. First of all, I'm honored that ESPN still considers NHL a top 4 major sport.
Yeah, it's actually pretty interesting.
But second of all, just a diss to MLS and to soccer in America. And I leave that for you to ponder while you wait for next week's episode. Have a good weekend. Thanks for listening.
Go Doyers.
Good, short.